All right, good morning. So for the last 18 months, my teammates and then also in the class have had an opportunity to receive a lot of information, discuss, and get a lot of insight from some of our industry leaders about really a lot of the prominent issues that are facing our industry today. You know, we talked about bans in some locations on new gas service. We've talked about emission and environmental issues that come up, our ability to put infrastructure in that allows us to serve some of that new load and our customers, and a number of other topics. And one thing we've really discovered as we talked about amongst ourselves is just the issue of misinformation and knowledge gaps. And that seems to contribute to a lot of these issues in a lot of cases. And our companies and our industry organizations, which we all belong to, have spent a lot of time, a lot of resources in developing communication plans and executing on those, but we still see these gaps. And you know, if we take a look at that picture, there's still a spread there where we're not getting that message across. So we talked about a potential solution to this is to evaluate a unified communication strategy. And so what we're thinking about doing is to take all of our industries, so look about all the cross segments, upstream, midstream, downstream, get together and form a unified strategy so that we're talking about the same type of topics. We can develop these, we can hit different communication groups with the messages that they need to hear. But the most important thing about being unified is we pool our responsibilities and our resources, and we're able to hit this at a scale, hit it at a large scale, hit all those audiences, and being able to have the resources we need to do so. So some of the things we'll talk about with this strategy today are communication needs. We need to be able to recognize misinformation and the knowledge gaps that are causing some of these issues for our industry today that are preventing us from being able to serve our customers. And the communication groups that we need to talk to, identify those different groups and what customized information that they need and how they want to receive that. Technology is going to be extremely important with this. And so AI is a great way to potentially develop some of that content. And then what kind of media sources and technology can we use to get that out in the preferences that our communication groups desire. And then we also want to leverage expertise. So one of the big things about having this at scale is to be able to pull in some of the communication and marketing experts to help us develop that messaging and then develop those plans to be able to send that out. And then we have to execute that strategy. So to talk more about communication needs, I'm going to turn it over to the Assistant Manager of Gas and Electric at the City of Tallahassee, Mr. Stephen Mayfield.
Thanks, Tom. Worldwide famine. What does that do to you? Does that trigger anybody? Paul Ehrlich put together a group and led a group in the 60s and the 70s, and their philosophy, their belief was that the earth could not produce enough food to handle the population growth. When he did this, there was less than 4 billion people on the earth. Now there's over 8 billion people. How many of you remember acid rain? Acid rain was going to get rid of all aquatic life in the streams, lakes, in all the waterways in the United States. I have a lot of fishermen friends in South Georgia that say that's not true. There's plenty of fish out there. And then moving into the 80s, you had an ice age that was coming upon us. There was nothing we could do. And before you could grasp what was coming with the ice age, sea levels were rising and all coastal cities were going to be gone. And then, who remembers Y2K? Y2K, and I think of the great philosophers REM and what they thought. It's the end of the world as you know it. And what came out of that? We're all fine. So that was not near as bad as people thought. And then my personal favorite was when I was in elementary school, killer bees. Killer bees were going to come up and they were going to attack us all. You should see a bunch of 10-year-olds when a bee comes who have just seen a whole lot of stuff about killer bees. We all run like crazy. And then as late as 2016, all the ice on the polar ice caps are gone. There'll be none left. Not happened yet. What I'm really getting to here is these are catastrophic events. And catastrophic events, they trigger an emotion. So what we're trying to do with our communication plan is let's get the messaging past these catastrophic events. That's not going to be easy. It's going to take a teamwork, it's going to take collaboration. We have a great story to tell. Natural gas is clean, and we're working hard to make it a cleaner energy. It's an affordable energy, and being affordable, that is essential for economic growth. It's reliable and resilient. We've all, energy, we just can't do without it anymore. We need it. We need our phones. We need everything to operate when we need it. It's an efficient industry. We all know the term cooking with gas. Who knows where it came from? In the 30s, one of Bob Hope's writers put it in for Bob Hope, and this writer came from the American Gas Association. And he came up with the term cooking with gas. It means it was the greatest thing. It's the best, it's the most efficient, it's the most newest technology. And he would always, Bob Hope would say, now we're cooking with gas. We got to get back to that kind of emotion around the gas industry. And it was such a keynote and important term that Harry S. Truman used it when he was running for president. And he used it in many of his speeches. And that's what we got to do, is we got to get back to having the emotional feeling of being with gas, cooking with gas to move forward. Gas is awesome. We need to get that messaging out. We have a great story. These are a lot of the messaging, many we've already heard today, but gas is affordable. We need to keep pressing that. Gas is efficient. It is one of the most efficient energies out there. Gas is abundant. It's local. We really need to say gas has reduced emissions. One of the things that we've learned here, it is the only energy source that has reduced emissions. And we need to get that messaging out. And in closing on my part, we have to get it out in the many different venues. And this is some that I kind of laid out, but Rodney, knock it from One Gas. He's the financial planner, and he's going to lay out all of the things and all the ways that we're going to get the messaging out.
Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, so as Stephen talked about, we really wanted to focus now on kind of what our target audience is, right? So we've got a message to tell, but it's a little bit different, and we want to be able to tailor it for specific audiences. So we've talked about 4 of them that we're going to talk about today. And the first one is school education. So I know some of the other groups have targeted school education, but for me, this one really hit home, because I'll tell you a little story. I was out with my oldest son the other day. We were out having dinner together, just the 2 of us, and talking about, maybe some ideas of what he wants to do when he grows up. And we got to talking a little bit, and it kind of came back to, talking a little bit about my career and my career path. And he made the comment. He said, "Isn't your job and your industry going away? Aren't fossil fuels going away in the next 3 to 10 years?" And I was taken back. I mean, this is my own son. I've been in my job for my company for 24 years, and I can do better. We can do better. Our industry can do better on how we're educating our kids. Second group is regulators. I mean, we all know we sometimes have a love-hate relationship with our regulators, but they're really integral in supporting what we do, supporting our business, and at the same time supporting the constituents that they work for. They are trying to secure the lowest cost energy. They're trying to maintain safe, reliable infrastructure, and so we need their support to continue to replace our pipelines, tighten our pipelines, and help us continue to reduce emissions. The third group is our federal and state legislators. We need their help, making sure that we have laws that continue to support natural gas, and that we are all supporting an all of the above energy approach. We know that we are expecting a growing energy demand, and it's going to take everything, and we're going to be part of that, and we need to make sure that our laws support that. Go back one real quick, sorry, out. Yeah, so direct use, we've heard some of the other groups talk about it, had a similar graphic, I think, that you had, Scott, up here, but yeah, direct use natural gas makes sense. We don't want to pay 3 times as much to heat our home, using electricity than we do natural gas. and our customers don't want that. So we need to make sure that people understand that, especially if we're generating electricity with natural gas, that it makes sense to heat your home, to heat your water with natural gas at the site instead of paying 3 times as much and using twice as much fuel to do that same thing. So we need to pass ban on bans so that, you know, customers have a choice of what they want to heat their homes with, what they want to heat their water with. And then the last group we talked about, and I'm going to actually add a fifth after hearing some of you guys talk, but the next one's just really our, you know, critical is our customers. You know, our customers, we serve millions of customers, and a lot of those customers are advocates of us. And so, you know, they want natural gas, and so we want their voices heard as well. I mean, they're the ones that are voting for people that are regulating us, for people that are making laws. And so we need to make sure that we're getting the right message to them, that we're the most cost effective, we're reliable, and we need their support. And then the last one that I kind of just added is, after hearing Brad talk, is really our employees, right? I mean, our employees, as Brad talked about, are really our lowest cost advocates for our product and what we do. So those are the 5 groups, and so I will turn it over to Taylor Wells, who is a committee manager with SGA.
So before I touch on technology, I do want to point out one key thing about myself. I was 8 years old when Y2K happened, so Stephen, I don't really remember. Moving on, technology. Technology today is at our fingertips. It's what we use every day in our personal lives, in our businesses, affects our business processes. As we've heard today already with some of our presentations, artificial intelligence is the talk of the future, and quite frankly, it is the future. If anybody remembers when we first started this program, AI was not really where it is today, and that's been in about 18 months. So artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a new tool that businesses we can use, for our industry we can use as a messaging platform. One of the key things with artificial intelligence is it is a software program that you can go into and you can basically program it to tell you what you want it to tell you. So for instance, Rodney mentioned some of the information that was pulled from the EIA website. EIA, that has millions of data points, millions of files, so much information that the everyday layperson be quite impossible to sift through that information. So what we can use with AI is we can take information from the EIA. We can say, pull out the key data points here that will pinpoint what scope 1, scope 2 emissions are, what the greenhouse gas emissions footprint is. We can pull all that out, condense it, and provide it to where we can message it in a proper format. But one of the other key benefits with AI is you can use it to tailor your messaging to your specific audience. So for instance, if we wanted to pull that information from the EIA and prepare it for a board of directors report, we can have AI provide assistance with that. If we wanted to take information from the EIA and deliver this message to where we can provide it to kids in a 5th grade classroom, we can do that. If I wanted to tell AI to summarize quantum physics to myself as if I was a 12-year-old, it can do that in a matter of seconds. It's a tool that we have, and we can use it for our industry to really capture and own and win the messaging battle that we are presented in front of us. So with communication channels, we've got to take that message and spread it to the masses. As a millennial, social media, millennial, Gen Z, generation after, social media is where most of us consume our information, whether it's Facebook, X, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok. Now, I'm not saying that as an industry, we need to video doing TikTok dances on a pipeline, but what I am saying is we can use TikTok to reach a lot of people where they receive and obtain their information. And so with that, I'm going to transfer over to Tina, who's the Chief Operating Officer of Municipal Gas Authority of Georgia.
Thank you, Taylor. Let me give you a figure. 400 years. 400 years of experience is in this room. Let's sit with that, as our wonderful professor told us to do. Sit with that number. I have, on a personal note, extremely appreciated sharing and growing with this group. And as we think about our message, that we want to do, we need to leverage that experience among one another. We also need to leverage the organizations that we belong to. SGA, of course, probably the number one for sure. But we've got, several of us are involved in APGA, API, ANGE, all the ones I've listed here. We need to leverage that group in our experience and think about how we can come with one unified message. And I think we can do it. I think it's possible with this kind of experience and this leverage. And so our thought is, as Christy said last night, let's get the creatives involved. Let's find one person potentially in each that could be a champion in each of our organizations and in these industry outreach groups, and hire the creatives, hire the communication and marketing experts, and get them to help us come with one unified message. We can do it. And I'll say this, you know, as Taylor just mentioned, there's going to be some, as we employ them, there are going to be ways to do that. We need to, as we've heard from the other groups, really leverage our internal groups, have focus groups within our companies. We're going to do that all a little differently, but we can do it. And then they'll have external, as Taylor said, social media, editorial pieces, digital marketing campaigns. There's a lot that can be leveraged and completed with a one unified message. And so that's our pitch. And I'm going to give it to Alp, the gas operations manager with Connecticut Natural Gas, to take us home.
Thank you, Tina. It is common knowledge by now how embedded natural gas is in our daily lives. From power generation with increasing demand every day, we talked about it last night, to hydrogen reforming, all the way to burner tip. Water heating of our homes and businesses, driveway heating. You wouldn't believe it. I installed a turbine meter 2 weeks ago for radiant heating for a helipad. Natural gas is here to stay for the decades to come. But it's also common knowledge by now that our industry is under scrutiny. We have a message to deliver to our customers. What's lacking is, as we indicated, is the unified message approach. So we have to come up with, as an industry, a new methodology in identifying the key audience. We talked about early school education. We talked about reaching out to legislators, regulators, and our own within our company. It was a great point. We also talked about the right communication methods, utilization of AI. Taylor talked about this. We talked about social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, so on and so forth. We have to identify the right communication methods with the right audience. Utilize the existing expertise, AGA, SGA, ANGE, heavily rely on them. But the key point is get the right message out to the right group of folks. With that, we're open to questions. Thank you for your time.